All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Box Money live stream where we cover everything that's happening in the cryptocurrency space news. Also, pretty crazy, devastating news with Mark Cuban. And we're going to explore a little bit more than just meets the eye here. So, we're going to talk about everything that's happening in the cryptocurrency space. Obviously, we saw one of Mark Cuban's strongly supported projects go to zero today. So, I was like, wow, okay. We're going to discuss that in detail. We're going to take a look at what's happening on a Bitcoin, Ethereum front. We'll take a look at the market. We also have, of course, some special guests joining us today. This is going to be a very casual format where we talk and give insight into news, not just cover news, because I think that's a little bit boring these days, but talk about the depth behind that. And that's a lot more important. I'll also give you a rundown of what I think is happening on the market, why I think everything is going to be pretty interesting in the maybe next I'm going to delay this, maybe next 1 or 2 months. I'll be realistic here. No more hope meme on this channel. We're going to be really realistic and talk about some expectations going on as well. We'll be joined by our good friend Nate. So Nate, welcome back onto the live stream. Welcome, Nate. How are you doing, good sir?
Hey guys, hey Box Mining family, doing well. Just had dinner, and my dad came to visit, and he just left, and we went back to Texas, and yeah, just jumping in here. Life is good.
Life is good, good sir. All right, so okay, I'm just organizing some stuff. I'll do some quick coverage on the market first. I'll talk about a little bit of a rundown of what I think is happening, and the kind of view that I'm taking right now. So just like give a rundown of the current market situation. Then me, Nate, and we have a special guest called Crypto Gemmy. Gemmy's gonna come and give us some updates as well, so we're gonna be well informed today. So let's start off by the markets and some of the expectations that we have right now. Oh, by the way, guys, I should always say this before we start. Make sure you guys smash up those likes. It's a YouTube thing, but it really does matter because YouTube algorithm is like, they like those likes, they like those comments. So comment up, smash up those likes, ask them some questions. We'll get those all answered today. It's everything for everyone today. And I really appreciate your support, guys. I thank you guys so much for watching. I'm actually still in a kind of a semi-break mode right now, and I'll explain to you why that is right now. And well, let's get started. Let me actually give you the intro as well. Boom. All right, market-wise, I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. It's one of the most boring weeks I've ever seen. Um, Bitcoin barely made any movements. I mean, it tried to push past 40K. All right, so I'm not gonna diminish um, the achievements here. So Bitcoin pushed all the way up to 40K, but unfortunately, we were met with very, very, very strong resistance yet again. So you can see, like, this is the Bitcoin charts over here. So throughout the week, Bitcoin tried to breach that 40K mark, and there's a point where we're like, okay, is it gonna go a little bit higher? But I think the issue right now is that the resistance at these key resistance points is much stronger than a lot of people anticipate. So this is a situation where it's a situation where for me, I'm just personally sitting on my hands, right? Like, I've made my plays. I'm not gonna freak out, nor am I gonna FOMO in. I think that's kind of the situation I'm at right now. I feel like the resistance is strong. I'm being prepared for swings on both sides, and this is it's a strategy that works for me very well during kind of very quiet months, right? I feel like what's happening with the crypto market is that, and it's very evident too, right? Where even if big news gets announced, or even if big news hits the media, because we've been covering some pretty big pieces that were going on throughout the week, especially on the Monday live stream, but you can see that they have minimal impact on the market. So the market, it's kind of the response level is very, very low. Right now, the market's really deciding. And I feel like at this current point, there's no fear of missing out right now. Everyone's just kind of wondering. And this does happen. I'll just say that up front. Like, especially like if you guys remember, even in recent memory, just after the DeFi summer that was. DeFi summer was crazy. Any sort of news just pushed the markets up like insane levels until one day it just collapsed a little bit. Well, not a little bit, quite a bit during last summer. And then it became very quiet for a while, right? You saw trade volumes go down, you see transaction costs go down. And I feel like that's what we're having right now. We're having this kind of like a break period almost for the market, and we're definitely seeing very strong resistances here. So that's for Bitcoin. Ethereum is very similar story as well, but it just didn't push up as much this week. So at the max, we got to $2,600, but yeah, right now we're just kind of going down with Bitcoin as well, and Ethereum's kind of staying within this 2 points. It's just the resistance that we saw is at 20. Well, not 20. It says at $3,000. That's where that real resistance is, right? You see it bounce off. On May the 2026, you saw it again at June, and twice at June, where it just bounced right back off when it tried to reach 3,000, got rejected, and now we're going down. The good news for ETH is that we do see support at around $2,000. We're approaching it. So I was like telling Nate today, Ethereum is looking a little bit yummy right now. Now, or at least it's a little more attractive. There is right now like a lot of fear in the market when people are talking about the Bitcoin death cross. So people have been talking about that for quite some time. I'll bring that up whilst we're doing the market analysis right now. But I love how people talk about it. I guess from there's two perspectives, right? I think the biggest perspective when you talk about something like a death cross is it freaks people out. It's a cross and it's death. Oh no, it's one of those things that even though it's not news, it becomes news, right? I think this is the best part about the market. But yes, people are definitely very worried about this death cross as it looms over. So we saw. Let me just throw this article up here. This is article on CoinDesk. It says Bitcoin holders become net buyers for the first time since October as the death cross looms. The death cross is coming. Oh my God, guys. I just have to roll my eyes when I see things like this. I feel like it's stirring a drama. We saw that last week too. There was like massive predictions. Bitcoin's going to $10,000, and then there's another prediction. Bitcoin's going to $80,000.
Yeah, same piece of news too. Well, two different pieces of news, but one's just up, the other's down. So
it's fear porn. It's fear porn. It's fear porn. It's fear porn and hope-mium, which is
hope-mium, yeah.
Hope-mium. So that's market behavior mentality. I think it's quite important to remember for you guys as well that I think one thing that's looking at the markets and something that's quite important to realize as well is that at any point of time, right, markets are balanced between the bears and the bulls. I think that's kind of important to realize that as well, where the market reaches this point of this current price, and it's perfectly balanced because the buy and the sells are kind of completely reaching that point. So, the market doesn't have any more intelligence than we have. And if there's a discrepancy, if there's more bears and bulls, then, one side's going to move up, right? So I think it's that was one of the kind of funny points. If you read a lot of trading books as well, it's like, they stress that as well. It's like the market reaches this equilibrium, which is the current price that it's at, right? And that does make a lot of sense in the situation here where, we definitely see the market's kind of moving within, like it's kind of just trying to decide. There's an indecision in the market right now whether it where it wants to go. So it's deciding not to go up, nor is it deciding to go down. That's why we're kind of getting stuck here. So anyways, I'm just going to be a little bit more, careful, I would say, about reading the news articles at this current point. All right, and then we're going to talk very quickly about everything else. We'll take a quick look, rather, at everything else up here. Not too much movements, all right? It does seem to be quite balanced, I would say. Like a lot of times when I look at the top 100s, I try to see what's happening in 24 hours and see where the general trend is. So you do see more red than there is green. It seems to be the case, but it doesn't seem to be too out of order. There's a lot of coins just clustered in the middle. The movement's really clustered in the middle. Just barely any movement. It's a quiet week right now, and that's just what it is, right? So it is what it is, right? And this is why I feel like at this current point, because of how strong that resistance is, and because of how strong these kind of bars are that's holding both Bitcoin and Ethereum in there, I feel like there's no fear of missing out right now. I think that's kind of what the market's missing. There's no fear of missing out. People are feeling like, you know what, we have a long time to decide what we want. So, Nate, how's your decision process? Are you in? Are you out? Have you traded again? What's happening on your side?
Yeah, I'm still in. I bought last week, and I, like you said, it's pretty stable. Like there hasn't been enough price action to make me like panic sell or like FOMO buy, or there just hasn't been too much going on in general, which is okay. I think we're used to. I mean, since 2018, 2019, we're kind of used to the prices being so stable, and we always have this joke saying that Bitcoin is the new stable coin. Bitcoin's the stable coin now. Like there's like those memes with the pirate. It's like, look at me, I'm stable coin. Just stuff like that. It's good. I think it needs time. The market needs time to kind of breathe. Just recover, and if it's going to take off again, then it's going to take off. If it's going to dump, it's going to dump. So I think the market needs.
I think we're so broken by the bear markets. I mean, we both survived 2017 till now, right? And like for me, I'm kind of just entering that mode where like, okay, look. I don't believe that this is the full bear market right now. Like if that is, that's a completely different story. But I think there are kind of these like pauses, right? And I definitely talked about there was one after the DeFi summer. There was a big pause right there, right? Where just frankly nothing happened for a while until all of a sudden we aggressively moved up. So Wolf's chances, quite weak, no FOMO. That being said, it's kind of funny. I mean, if Mark Cuban was aggressively tweeting for a while, I think during a bear market, this will move the markets. During a bull market, this will move the markets. But right now, it's just like, chill, relax, calm down. All right, so let's go. Let's enough talk about the markets. Let's go slowly to the news, and we got a special guest joining us as well to just cover some extra news. So let's welcome Crypto Gemmy up onto the stage. Hey Gemmy, how is it going?
Hello.
Yeah,
Doing great. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. Hello. Thanks for having me.
This is the first time Crypto Gemmy's on the stream. Crypto Gemmy has been doing a lot of amazing content as well in the space. She has her own YouTube channel. She also has one of the best, prettiest backgrounds I've ever seen. So let's just show her. She's over Hong Kong. She's on the top of Hong Kong right now. So welcome. How's everything going? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself as well, Crypto Gemmy? I think there's a little bit of delay on our side.
Yeah. So there's a slight delay. I'm so sorry. I'm using the laptop mic. Actually, I'm hearing myself. I think I have to fix the microphone first. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's getting everything ordered. That's the hard part, right? So you'll probably be able to hear yourself, and I think you just have to mute the.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you. But
we can hear you. We can hear you. All good. All right. I think maybe she muted herself. She muted us too. All right. I think I'm just communicating. So let's move on to the news whilst we get this sorted. It's getting everything ordered.
Oh,
we get this sorted. It's getting everything. All right. Let's get. I think Gemmy's figuring out her mic. So. Okay, so Nate, let's go on to news. Let's talk about what's happening. Do you want to talk about the Mark Cuban stuff first?
Yeah, we'll just do the Mark Cuban stuff first, and then we can jump back.
All right.
Cool.
All right. So, do you want to bring that on your screen, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you can bring it on my screen.
I'll bring up your screen. Yeah, out of your screen. All right. Boom. All right.
Boom. All right, guys. I'll make this super lightning quick. Mark Cuban calls for DeFi regulation after crypto investment goes to zero. It's all fun and games in DeFi until you lose money and you wish you had consumer protections. So Mark Cuban got wrecked. That's plain and simple. He got wrecked, and he's calling for regulation. And the reason why he's, it's it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt, and when he's calling for regulation, then suddenly everyone's like, oh, it's Cuban Missile Crisis, like the chat was saying, and it's pretty good. Chat's pretty good. And so this is what happened. So like literally like a few weeks ago, he wrote about it was a project called, actually I'll talk about the project first. It was called Titan, and essentially it's like a algorithmic stablecoin, and it's something that he personally invested in. Essentially, and it's a coin that lost 99% of its value, and he wrote about it right here. He said, "I'm a small liquidity provider for QuickSwap. I provide 2 different tokens, DAI and Titan." So this is the Titan, and he has an initial of $75,000 in the project. So he put 75K in there, and essentially, I guess he lost everything. And so what Iron Finance is saying, so it was Iron Finance that he invested in, and it's a project that's built on Polygon. They said that they did a run on the banks. Obviously, we're gonna have to go back and check through. I know that the projects can put out.
Well, I think this is kind of funny, right? Like the reason why I think this is kind of funny is because he's like, DeFi is definitely like playing with fire right now, and I think we all know that it's kind of like playing with fire. Right? It's a situation where a lot of the stuff is new, is experimental. I mean, this stuff is deployed on Polygon, so it's like frontier, right? Because everyone loves Polygon right now, so it's one of the hippest areas to be on. But there's kind of consequences to that too, because if the transaction speed is extremely fast, it gives extremely little time for projects to respond to events that happen. So this kind of run on a bank situation is it's kind of expected, and we talked about this in relation to Binance Smart Chain too, where the farms on Binance Smart Chain, they're much more vulnerable to economic exploits, and this is clearly a situation where I feel like Mark Cuban knew what he was doing. I feel like there's there's a situation where there are people who are what people are saying, like unsophisticated investors that don't know what they're doing. But I think this is clearly not a case, right? Because Mark Cuban, he's been rocking it, and my experience with him is I watch him a lot on Shark Tank and Dragon's Den, right? I think he was on both of these channels at some point, and he knows what he's doing, right? And he knows the dangers of this. And then he calls for regular, and then he gets burnt by fire. He's playing with fire, right? He's playing with fire. Fire is great. I'm not criticizing fire, because fire, you need fire to cook food, right? That's the next evolution. You need the fire to cook food, but you're gonna get burnt eventually if you cook fire incorrectly, or use fire incorrectly. And I think this is a situation where he did get burnt. And I'm actually going to be very brutal with on this with what Mark Cuban experienced, because I feel like it's a situation where he backed a project that is extremely experimental. Because with the way the Iron Finance worked and with how things were happening, it wasn't fully collateralized. It was semi-collateralized, and it was creating kind of like this kind of. It was trying to use this fractional collateralized stablecoin model. But there was a situation where it's fractionalized, right? And because it's new, right, what happens is that at a certain point, if people keep withdrawing and cashing out their stable coins, well, you're going to run out of fractional reserve, right? Your reserve's going to run dry. And it seems like that was what kind of brought Iron down. So I'm just going to throw down a chart very quickly on this. And I think something that's kind of like yet again, I wasn't too involved in this, so I didn't touch Iron. It's one of those situations where I'm kind of looking at this from an outsider's perspective, and it's very easy as an outsider to be very critical of everything that's going on. But like if you look at the charts, obviously it shot up to $60. Like he was drumming up interest. He was typing like, oh yeah, this is like the most amazing stuff in the world, right? He's writing his articles. He's like talking, oh my god, this Iron Swap fame. I mean, it went up to $60, and then it just got obliterated, like pretty much like overnight, all the way down to 0.00005. And the mechanics of this, right? Like they did an analysis of this where it was a situation where people removed the liquidity of Iron USD. Then they sold Titan to Iron and Iron to USDC. So essentially, they're just like dumping the stable coin, and just basically the reserves get depleted, and then boom, Titan fell, right?
Titanfall. Like
Titanfall. But there were some articles saying that, Mark Cuban was one of the largest providers of liquidity, and it seemed to be the case that there weren't many other players in the system too. And this is quite dangerous. And I feel like this is a situation where he might be. Some argue that the interest from billionaire investor Mark Cuban only exacerbated the situation as people discovered his DeFi wallet and alleged that he is a sole provider of Titan DAI on the Polygon shop. That sounds sketch, man. That actually sounds a little bit sketch. Like he's pushing this, and this is something that I have to say and warn people about. How things go on here, which is that these very prominent and vocal investors always have something in mind when they put their face out there. Right. And this is something that we should be well aware of. Like, they have their own objectives, right? Whether to promote their own project, whether to get, gain more wealth themselves. I mean, it's a whole structure of, like I said, I know Mark Cuban from Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. They're out to make money. These sharks are out to make money. He's a shark, right?
Yep.
Like, he's a shark doing DeFi. I think, I do think maybe there was something sketchy going on. I mean, like, who knows what was going on behind the scenes. But yet again, it's a situation that he backed something extremely experimental. And then I think, he fell either victim to it or he got caught doing something that, I think that was not too great. So I'm hoping our community were safe from this. I'm hoping, Daniel O'Kane says Cuban pull a rug. Who knows if Cuban did himself, if he was intentionally trying to do it. But it wasn't. This definitely wasn't a good situation for both him and the DeFi community, I think. And I think it's a stark reminder to say that, when it comes to DeFi, right? When it comes to DeFi, things can get very crazy, very, very quickly, and it's extremely experimental. I think if any lessons are learned from this is that DeFi is extremely experimental, especially when you're dealing with under collateralized assets, right? When you fully collateralize, like with the DAI, DAI is supposedly on paper more stable because it's vastly over collateralized, but at the same time, even the DAI can go under, some runs sometimes, especially when ETH crashes in value. And we've seen instability there. So anyways, I think that's the way cookie crumbles. All right, let's see let's go back to a little bit with Gemmy, and we're also going to have a special guest coming on soon from Sienna. So yeah, there's going to be a pretty packed episode. So Gemmy, let's see if everything's working well. How's it going, Gemmy?
Hello. It's going great. So sorry about the microphone, by the way.
No worries. It's great. I mean, this is the hard part with tech, right? It's always hell to set up, but once you set it up, it's gonna be amazing. So, Gemmy, all right. Gemmy, we also have. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about how this works right here. So you can have the option to share your screen as well. Gemmy actually prepared a few news articles for us to share too, whilst we're at it. So,
how
what we're
do I
gonna
share my screen?
It's on the bottom. Do you see the share? So bottom middle side, there's a share button.
Oh yeah.
And you can click that, and I can bring that onto the screen as well for us here. So I'll teach you the ropes. This is the online teaching segment for how to use Stream Deck. So
Thank you.
anyways, let me go through the news very quickly. Gemmy, you can share your screen if you can, and then we'll go over. But I'll go over some quick stuff very quickly, and we'll continue on with this segment. So first and foremost, we got Travala. If you guys know Travala, you can use it right now to travel and book hotels if you can ever travel. But they're taking this time to launch a new Airbnb type service. So it's called DTravel. So they're bringing basically a network. So the cool thing I think that to mention here is they already have a network of providers people who want to provide accommodation. And they're just kind of adding that and building this whole entire network, which is kind of cool. And if you guys know DTravel is very much a fan favorite. It's a way to travel with your cryptocurrencies, and people love it. Like, people love that a lot. I've been dying to use it because it's a much easier way to get directly use crypto to travel. So that's kind coming up. And yeah, that's something that's kind of interesting, because with Airbnb right now, I think this is like a prime time to strike, because every homeowner right now, right, because of the travel kind of ban that we're having, they're dying to get more business, right? And this is why I feel like this building that network can be super fast here. Next, we also have Korean exchanges that are banned from handling coins they issued themselves.
Dude, really?
Well, okay, this is kind of obvious too, right? Almost in a way, like it's like leaving the rabbits in charge of the carrots, right? Or the rabbits in charge of the lettuce. Because that's kind of what's happening with these crypto exchanges right now, right? They get to issue their own coins. Like that's kind of what Binance is doing. They also get to put it on the market, and they get to kind of decide what's happening in the back end, and they have access to all their information. So apparently in South Korea, there's a ban right now. So they're saying, you know what, guys, you can't handle the cryptocurrencies you issue yourselves. I think that's actually pretty... I don't know. It makes sense, right? It makes sense. You go to these banks, and this is such current situation with a lot of banking institutions too, right? And they call it the China wall, right? Where they have clients on both sides, right, of the trade, and they're running the exchange, and they have this China wall. But we kind of know it doesn't work very well. So I guess it kind of does make sense for them to do it. So, but anyways, I find that this is long overdue. All right, we talked about Def Cross already. We're gonna we got Feds playing around with stuff.
Load the FUD.
The greater market. The greater market is here. The greater market is coming. Do you need it, Nate? Do you have anything to say to this, or should we just chalk it up to
about gold?
That's what.
About the Fed. I mean, the Fed is they're gonna try to get in on Bitcoin. Bottom line,
I just feel like they're in such a bad position right now. But anyways, I will leave it at that. I feel like, with just the amount of USD being printed, they're in a bad position. They got to be pretty much on emergency mode. All right, we got this one. Do you want to cover this, Nate, very quickly? Shiba Inu listed on Coinbase Pro.
Yeah, Shiba, the one that Vitalik dumped, is launching on Coinbase Pro. I mean, come on. Like, I get it. They listed Doge. I mean, it's cool. Like, these projects, they're all for community. I get it. But, I mean...
They're not for community, though. Okay. They are for community, but they're in it for the money. Right. It's clear that people love trading Doge. That's why Coinbase got on that in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they love that Doge, they love that money, because they make money whether people move, like, regardless of whether people win or lose, Coinbase is gonna make money, right? And like, I feel like they need to push up the figures for Q2, Q3, Q4. Right. I think this is the kind of the issue, right? Now that they're listed, right? Now that they're publicly listed, they need to present some very positive results, especially because Q1 was such a killer, right? Q1 Coinbase reported such killer earnings, they were at, the market exploding. They want to kind of continue to project that. And the only way they can do this is to just encourage trade. So like, I kind of feel like that they're just like, they jumped the shark at Shiba Inu, because like you said, the first thing that you said out here is that Shiba Inu is largely controlled by Vitalik, right? They sent half the supply to Vitalik, and Vitalik was the one that kind of rug pulled on it. It wasn't a kind of rug pull, it was a full rug pull, where he started dumping his Shiba holdings straight into the market and just causing gigantic crashes on the market. This is why Shiba couldn't grow. So it's a situation where I feel like a lot of people trust Coinbase. They're like, oh yeah, Coinbase is big listings, a big thing, and it brings a lot of legitimacy. But like here, I think there's like very little legitimacy that was brought. It probably it's gonna start destroying their name. And we got Llama 666 says, here's Coinbase is just catching up to Binance Keck. Keck.
I mean, like that's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like Coinbase is just exploiting the retail investors right now. Like, my family, they use a lot of, like, some close family members, they're a little bit older than I am, they use Coinbase. And anything that lists on Coinbase, it's like, that's, especially here in America, like, you don't really have a lot of options. You know what I mean? Like, so Coinbase and Gemini, like, those are the main That's how most people buy. And so it's like people will buy anything that Coinbase lists. And I think that's kind of exploiting them in a way, you know? So I just feel like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal. Anyway, so I think we have a special guest as well. He's been waiting on for some time. So he's knocking on the door, and we're gonna let him in, and we're gonna figure out what's happening. And this is a quite a larger issue as well. So we're gonna be pretty exciting. So we're gonna bring Monty on board. So let's gonna say hi to Monty. We'll also have Gemmy on board too. We're gonna have Gemmy to say hi over here as well. Hey Monty, how's it going?
It's 4:30 a.m. So if I'm useless, if I'm
sorry,
sleepy, if this coffee doesn't work, then excuse me for my sleepiness.
Apologies. This is 4:30 a.m. over there. So you're in Europe. You're a European viewer.
That's correct. I'm actually in a place called Brighton, which is 50 miles.
I love Brighton. There's a UFO thing over there, right? There is a UFO thing. There's a nice beach pier. That's great.
Absolutely. Everybody knows Brighton. I mean, there's a lot. It's 50 miles south of London, right? So it's about an hour, and it's a mixture between kind of Austin, Vancouver, and San Francisco. Lots of foreign language students, and at the moment during lockdown, it's probably the best place in the world to be. I mean, there's a transportation revolution going on here. You know, we have the only green member of parliament in the whole of the country. You know, the south of the UK is, you know, kind of right Tory, but the policies that they've set in, everyone's got a skateboard, every woman's got a chest tattoo or tattooed legs. You know, there's people on skateboards, hoverboards, electric scooters. It's just great. But the beach itself is useless. The beach is just rocks. There's no sand. That's the only bad thing. But it's a cool place to be at the moment. I mean, I'm a massive Londoner, right? You know what I mean? It's like I've lived all over London. But at the moment, I'm spending, I'm not running up on the train to have meetings in London. I'm trying to get people to come down here. And a lot of people are doing it. So you're welcome at any time.
Awesome, and I hope those Bitcoin ATMs work there. I was actually there trying to test out your Bitcoin ATMs. But anyways, regardless, let's talk about Sienna. So you're part of Sienna. You guys are doing privacy DeFi, privacy first DeFi, right? Can you tell me a little bit about it? Give me a quick summary rundown of what's going on here.
Well, it's funny enough, and this is pretty. This is a bit of shilling, and I apologise for it in advance, but. I mean, I came to the crypto scene probably about 4 years ago, and started getting paid in Ethereum, which I thought was a good idea. I've never been a
great idea.
Yeah, exactly. I've never been an early adopter. Well, more like a kind of evening adopter nowadays, a lunchtime adopter. But there were some of us were kind of entrepreneurs and interested in new things. And there's an island just off the coast of Ireland called Lambay Island. It was owned by the Barings Bank. I don't know if you remember Barings Bank that went bust a few years ago. So it's the kind of place where people get together. You fly over there, have some meal, some food, etc. And then crypto came up, and it took some time for me to understand. But I got involved in it at that time, and I came in basically as a decentralist. You know what I mean? I don't think centralism works in any way, whether it's government or whether it's money or anything. 150 people. We all have 150 people in our network. We can talk to each other. We get on very well. You know what I mean? We're all pretty kind to each other. If Michael, if you were in a cafe next to me and turned to me and said, "Hey Monty, can you pass me the salt?" I'm not going to say, "Fuck you." No, you can't have the salt unless you give me £5 or $5. I always pass you the salt. You know what I mean? So we're generally kind. Sorry, I just swore. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, thank fuck for that. That's good. That's the way we talk. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just trying to give you a bit of background that kind of segues into Sienna. So I've a pretty varied history, but one of the things I have done is that I've spoken at more than 200 global events. I've interviewed John McAfee 3 times. Spent some time on his yacht. That's probably not for broadcast, but that was a great deal of fun. John, hope you're well, man. And Janet, hope you're well as well. And then I gradually kind of, Brock Pierce, people like that, Roger Veer, all of those guys. And I suppose I came into it from an authentic direction, as if like, whoa, this is interesting. But there are quite a few evangelists here, but there's quite a few idiots as well. You know what I mean? That people I wouldn't have around my house for dinner, or I probably would tell them to go away if they asked me to pass them the salt at the cafe. You know what I mean? So I was trying to work my way through it to get through it all and to work out what was going on. And then I had all of my ether stolen, from my wallet, which is quite a lot of money now, right? It was 163 ether. So, well, I mean, yeah, it's a house, right?
Yeah, sorry to hear that. That sucks.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I've got a reasonable reputation. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people in the space, a lot of hackers, black hat, white hat. And we tried everything to get that money back, right? You know what I mean? I wrote a piece for the BBC about it. Stupid cryptocurrency, tech journalist loses £25,000. That was great. That was great for me. I got loads of, what an idiot I got, well, I wrote it calling myself an idiot. Why would you call me an idiot, you idiot? and I, just to put that into context, apart from a rambling story, was that it put me off, right? Do you know what I mean? I had bounty hunters in New York trying to get back. Everything, it was disappeared onto Binance. Tried to stop the transaction, obviously immutable. Everything. I'm still. I set up a podcast last year called Blockspeak.io, and I was interviewing CZ and all the people I mentioned, and I kept mentioning the theft of my ether, but I still haven't got it.
No one's gonna get it back. No one's gonna get it back. Sorry.
No,
CZ's gonna reach into his wallet. Oh, it's here all along. Yes, it was in my pocket. No. Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but, I mean,
All right. So, anyways, so leading on to that. Why Sienna? So, what's happening here?
Well, okay, I suppose so. The offers came in but I came back into it when I started doing the podcast under lockdown, and I realised. I write for the Economist, I write for the BBC, still write for the FT. I write a weekly column which I need to write later. I'd be probably too tired to do it. For City AM, there were quite a few people knocking on my door to be on their decks. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm a big guy or anything like that, but there were a lot of things that I turned down. And then Sienna knocked on my door, and I thought, whoa, this is amazing. You know what I mean? I want to be involved. So that was at the start of the year. Danish co-founders from Denmark. One of these guys I'd met at a couple of conferences. Another guy who's the genius, I can't mention his name, I'd met at the US embassy in Stockholm. A genius. So it took me some time to understand what it was, because I knew about DeFi to a certain extent, but I didn't understand exactly what privacy DeFi was. So basically the story is what we're trying to do is that we're trying to introduce a new interconnected DeFi protocol that allows completely private lending, borrowing, and trading experience with, well, I suppose the best scalability and, more importantly, low transaction fees. We all know about the problem with front running. I won't, belittle your audience and explaining that. I'm sure you know what that is. But we're going to create a bridge for ERC20 tokens to ensure compatibility with the Ethereum ecosystem, my old friend Ethereum, and then we'll be making digital money markets effective and fungible, for everybody, open for institutional investors. And on top of that,
this is kind of sorry to interrupt you there. So this is kind of interesting, because I'm just going to bring you back a little bit, right? Because I think we're going to contrast that with the current DeFi ecosystem here, which is if you're on Ethereum, if you're using Uniswap, everyone can see what's going on.
Right.
I think that's kind of the biggest the currently the best part of it and the worst part of it.
Absolutely.
You know, it's great because we can analyze who's trading what, and who's providing liquidity when they're dumping, and with just situations where we watch wallets, right? And this is not, you know, and you know, if this was, you know, anywhere else, you'd be kind of accused of spying on people, right? Why are you spying on these people? And but you can do that in crypto, right? You can do that on Ethereum. You can watch an Ethereum wallet, and you get alerts, or you get alerts when this guy buys or sells or something happens. And even more than that, something crazy about Ethereum is that not only is it not private, but when an order is broadcasted, not confirmed, when it's just broadcasted, that you get notified before it gets confirmed, which is a big issue for front running. So here, what are you trying to solve? Like, I guess, are you trying to solve all of these issues? Are you trying to solve trading issues? Or what are you trying to solve here?
Well, I mean, there would be an emphasis on trading, I suppose. I think it's like any other form of bullying capitalism. I think you know what I mean. You're right. It's the best thing and the worst thing is that it can be seen. But Michael, Nathan, and Gemmy, I mean, if I had access to your bank account and I wanted to, you know, if I could see what you were doing, you know, it would be like I would be the founder of the cookie, right? But then I would become a great cookie monster because I could do everything that I knew about you. I could gobble up all of your transactions, know what you were doing, and then probably make you do things that you didn't want to do, right? So the notion of privacy in that respect, especially when it comes to your financial transactions, is very different from anonymity, right? And I've been listening to you guys for the last hour or so. I mean, Michael, you're a fabulous host, mate. Honestly, I've done a lot of podcasts and a lot of shows. You're really good at what you do, mate. You know what I mean? But it's the kind of anonymity implies something wrong. And I think we all know the trope of anonymous drug dealer, anonymous arms dealer, anonymous terrorist, right? I think we have to make a really, really big, you know, differential between anonymity and privacy, right? I respect your privacy, but I'm not anonymous. You know, that's one of the most important things. And I think that's one of the things that we need to do as a company, but also need, you know, as part of this whole ecosystem, as you referred to earlier, is, you know, and I heard you speak earlier about DeFi itself, is that we need to kind of, you know, upgrade the opinion that people have of it, right? So what we're trying to do is to protect people from front running, especially when it comes to trading, with someone coming in with a massive gas fee at the last minute to hijack what you're doing because they can see what you're doing. And I know this sounds very utopian, and I'm the evangelist and the core contributor to the Sienna Network, but they're more democratic, you know, something that's fairer in the way that this is done. And the one thing that I would say is that, you know, the things that annoy me about this industry are pump and dump and, you know, scammers and bots and all this bullshit. Do you know what I mean? But we are here long term, right? We're not going away. You know, the vesting for the founders is a long time. You know, we want to, again, it sounds utopian, to improve the business, but that's pretty much what we want to do.
Awesome. Awesome. And I was like, at a certain point, you know, when we're talking about Mark Cuban, I thought, you know, you could almost chime in a bit because, you know, I kind of just want to zoom out and, you know, talk about DeFi with you because, you know, you've been in journalism for a long time, right? You know, you've seen technologies come and go. Like, what's your take on DeFi? You know, like when you first got introduced to it, you know, were you surprised? You know, what was your take?
Well, I mean, I'd written a lot for the BBC about fintech, right? Because you know, London's pretty much. I mean, I think the numbers for London fintech even this year are extraordinary. You know what I mean? And it was what I suppose I was interested in the future of money. You know, I'm one of these guys where there's always too much month left at the end of the money, if you know what I mean. I'll always run out around the 19th of March or the 21st of October because I spent it too quickly. But I didn't really understand money. You know, in this country, you know, we're supposed to be a first world country. Financial education for kids at school is non-existent still to this day. You know what I mean? It's a huge thing. You know. But I didn't know anything about money, and to be fair, I was anti-capitalist. You know what I mean? In those days when we were all young and idealistic. So I started to realise I've been ripped off for years. You know what I mean? Even using an ATM, not for Bitcoin, but just going to France to get some euros, or going to here to get euros, because my habits with money were so ingrained. And I do like cash. Don't get me wrong. But I was probably the perfect customer for a bank. Really. I'll just give you one story about why the traditional banking system sucks, to use kind of American terminology. I was in Brighton about 4 years ago. I took out £100 from a cash point on London Road. This is like Skid Row. This place. It's really interesting. There's lots of interesting people, but lots of heroin addicts and all that stuff. So I forgot to take my money out of the cash point, £100, $140 American dollars. Idiot me, you know what I mean? Rang out the bank, said sorry. I've been a perfect customer for 25 years. They've ripped me off for 25 years, and I said, "Well, can I have my money back?" As if someone had stolen it from my account.
Oh boy!
And they said it's going to take 6 weeks to check. I said, doesn't that make stupidness sense that it's going to cost you thousands of pounds to check the camera, to do this? Just give me my money back. I'm a good guy, So that was the stupidity of it. On the back of that, the bank, which will remain unnamed just for manners and respect, suddenly they invite me now, because I wrote about it for the BBC, meet the banks of the future. You might even like them. I think that was the headline. So they took me to this building in London, and they took me out for lunch and everything like that. And they were so.
The moment they realize you're a journalist, right? The moment they realize you have a voice.
It's the first time in 30 years they've done anything until they've read this article. So I ordered the most expensive things on the lunch, lobster or whatever, you know what I mean? And then they thought they were really hip. And they said, "Oh, you know what we do? We are so sophisticated and trendy that some of our people who work at one of the biggest banks in the world, they go out and get a sandwich and they use Bitcoin." Oh, it's like, don't you realise that you're eating yourself? You know what I mean? You're eating yourself, complaining about the salad. You know what I mean? While you bite yourself and kill yourself, you're moaning about the salad on the side of the plate. So from that point, it was a bit of a mission for me, right? Just to find out as much as I could about other systems, right? Centralized doesn't work, I don't think, when it comes to political anything like that. I still maintain some firebrand in me. You know what I mean? I'm not rage against the dying of the light, I think the poet once said. But the more I delved into DeFi, I kind of looked at it and thought, well, decentralized finance, obviously it sounds great. You know what I mean? The middleman is taken away, like pretty much, anything about crypto. But then I didn't know anything about front running, and I didn't know anything about this, And then the more I dug into it, I mean, Sienna is built on Secret Network. Tor Bear is top man. You know what I mean? We wanted to raise. Well, we were going to raise between $500,000 and $700,000, right? We raised 11.2 million. Private sale was 10. The public sale was 1.2. And we were turning people away. I mean, there's a great sporting personality here. He's a racehorse jockey. I mean, we had to turn him away because I still want him back. Actually, I will get him back. And the more I dug into it, the more I realised that secret's really interesting. My first question was, well, anonymity. Then I was put right. Was it privacy? Right. Okay. So this is not bullshit. This is a good thing. And I can tell you, right, I was a communications director for the first series of Big Brother in the UK, right? I worked for a company, we were offered the game Angry Birds for $251,000 for 51% share, and we failed Angry Birds, you know what I mean? I've been around the world, you know what I mean? My last gig was with Kim Kardashian in Armenia, You know, I've done some pretty weird stuff. I've been a Bollywood actor in India. You know what I mean? It was baddie and bang, bang, 2 movies and a drug dealer. You know, I've been a motorcycle dispatch rider when it wasn't Deliveroo wages, when it was big wages. But I have never met people like this at Sienna, right? You know, there's only 2 guys there that I've ever met. The rest of the team, we have a call like this every week, and we are laughing and laughing and laughing. And the intelligence of the people that I work with and what they're trying to do, and I just want to iterate this again for the last time. And I know we're running out of time. It's like being on stage again. Wow. Is that we're in it long term, right? We're all evangelists and core contributors to the Sienna Network project because we believe people need a better deal.
Yeah. I think so, and I think the thing of privacy, I think, is exactly what you said at the start. A lot of people have the misconception that, oh, this is for funding terrorism or something, but you know, people don't realize how transparent the blockchain is, right? Yeah. People don't realize how you can just completely just click a button, spy on someone perpetually on the wallet, what they do, every one of their actions. So having that privacy is what we already are used to. I think that's kind of the I guess the point that I you know, the reason why I'm interested in Sienna is for that reason as well. It's like once people start realizing, because like I think at a certain point we're still in, you know, trading dog coins and people don't realize how, you know, how crypto really works. But once they start realizing how it works, I think that's kind of important. I'm going to bring the stage light to Gemmy. Everyone's asking to Gemmy to speak, and Gemmy's actually prepared like quite a few pieces of news, but I think we're asking her to cut it down a bit because we have roughly around 10 minutes left here. So Gemmy, do you want to talk about your piece of news that you are bringing us today, which is with the
MicroStrategy one?
MicroStrategy one, exactly.
Michael Saylor?
Yeah.
Michael Saylor, yet again.
Do I have to share my screen again? Because I was trying to share it, but I just got disappear. I don't know why.
You can try to share it. Either or, up to you.
Okay, sure.
People are loving your accent, by the way. People are like, "Oh, we love Gemmy. Like our accent's amazing."
Yeah, I like your accent as well. It's amazing. It's quite posh.
Thank you. Can you guys see my screen now?
Let me give me a sec. Gemmy's screen, throwing that on. All right, here we go. That's Gemmy's screen.
Okay, sure.
Right, yeah.
So I have prepared MicroStrategy news for you guys. So MicroStrategy may sell $1 billion in stock to buy more Bitcoin. So the cloud software company today, well, not today exactly, filed paperwork with the SEC for a proposed public sale of Class A common stock via an open market sale agreement. This type of open-ended agreement allows the firm to sell stock from time to time depending on its needs. Literally, Michael Saylor was saying they intend to use the net proceeds from the sale of any Class A common stock over under this prospectus for general corporate purposes, including the acquisition of Bitcoin. I mean, I'm really bullish on Bitcoin, but I've got to say, it's really, really a bold move, though. I mean, what do you guys reckon? Maybe I'm just too conservative.
I think it's great. I mean, this guy's been super bullish forever on Bitcoin, right? Loving how Michael Saylor has been just pumping it, you know, being so active. And I think it's like, you know, throughout these 2 weeks, I think people were very concerned that these big firms were selling Bitcoin. I think not so much about MicroStrategy, but more on Tesla. Remember, that's why, you know, Elon Musk had to tweet and say, "Oh yeah, you know, I've only sold around 10%." Michael Saylor is doubling down. You know, he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing whatever I can." You know, this is a guy. This is where I think actions speak louder than words. I mean, obviously, it's pending action. But I feel like it is a situation where, you know, he's been aggressively buying Bitcoin for a long time. And just echoing the point that Monty was saying earlier, you know, people who are here for the long term are really here for the long term. I think that's the, you know, I think it's sometimes people who the long term thinkers aren't here for, like, they don't have the loudest voice, especially during a bull market where, you know, if you look at all the TikTok coin pickers, right? it's like Dogecoin and Shiba and come rockets. It's I think it's refreshing to have those voices come back and become louder again during times like this. I mean, obviously, if this was a bull market, this would probably cause some changes on the market too. But now that we're kind of quiet right now, this just becomes quiet news. And I think that's probably what he wants too. If he can buy it, slowly without drastically affecting the underlying price of Bitcoin, that's all the better for him, right? So, anyways, I feel like that's some very positive news going on. So thanks, Gemmy, for that. You also had an SEC article. Do you want to talk about that too, Gemmy, or whilst you're at it?
Yeah, sure. So the SEC has no plans to regulate Bitcoin in 2021. So the SEC has released its 2021 regulatory agenda, which is the things that SEC is going after, and has left Bitcoin and cryptocurrency out. Instead, its focuses is on short selling, a topic that has grown into a heated debate in the wake of the meme stock craze with GME and AMC. I mean, this is definitely very, very positive news. And I think one of the reasons why SEC is not going after Bitcoin is actually because of this guy, Gary Gensler. So if you search this guy on YouTube, you can actually see he's really into Bitcoin and blockchain. Like right here, you can search his lectures if you guys are interested. He's teaching people what blockchain and Bitcoin are. So he has a clear understanding of what that is. So yeah, I think it's really, really bullish news.
I think that's actually quite interesting because it's bullish and it's also sad at the same time. I will say, cryptocurrency, there's a lot of stuff that's really messed up in here. Especially during the bull market. You see just rug pulls everywhere, and you see, just total garbage, right? But they're not chasing it. You know why? Because there's bigger fires to fight, right? So I feel like that's kind of sad. It's like they're going after GameStops, the meme coins. I mean, it goes to show how messed up the current markets are. I think the current markets aren't prepared for Gen Z. I think that's the way it is. There are more people investing now, especially in the 20s, especially the accessibility of investments have greatly increased. And as a response to that, social media also, that greatly changed how people kind of get their information. And it's to a point where, the SEC has much bigger fires to fight. There's so it's kind of sad. I think regulation at some point needs to come for products that are managed, that are not protocols, I would say. Like if there's a company, I think there needs to be kind of disclosure about what's going on, especially when it comes to, because you hear these horror stories too, where founders just dump their stash of coins, right? This was something that normally you will have to file with the SEC, where if a company wants to sell or buy their own coin, they need to do it. But this is why I want to see that there's a kind of a line between product or utility oriented coins versus kind of currency, something like Bitcoin, where this is it's a fair launch. There's no founders, there's no founders coins, there's no foundation holding it. So there's pros and cons to both sides. I think having regulation for stuff that should be securities should be there. I mean, if they act like a security, if they quack like a duck, they should be regulated like a duck, right? In that sense. But anyways, I feel like there's bigger fires to fight right now. I think that's where the SEC is busy. So maybe we'll see what's going to happen. Monty, you got something to say to that as well? I think you wanted to comment.
Well, I suppose in a strange way I do. It's like when it comes to regulation, I think, to belabor a metaphor, we need to front run regulation, right? You know what I mean? This stuff is coming down the line.
Yeah,
that's sure. Especially if there is that kind of, feeling that privacy is anonymity. We need to manage that on a marketing basis as an industry, as well as a kind of as a PR basis as well. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say to that. I would also just shill a little bit about Sienna. Sienna Swap is launching in the next couple of weeks. We're very excited about it, but not just about a coin. Or about liquidity providers. And I had a conversation with Sir Tim Berners-Lee 2 days ago. the founder of the internet, basically, British guy, amazing guy. I'm interviewing him, hopefully as well as you, Michael, on the 28th of June. And we were talking about privacy, you know, this is kind of a little bit confidential. He's a very private man himself and will only appear on panels that are not just white men, which is great because I agree with that. But he was very, very proactive about what we were trying to do because, you know, everyone wanted everything to be an amazing utopian world when it came to privacy in the first place. You know, we wanted to, the internet was supposed to set us free when it's, you know, in many ways it's infected everything and infected all of us. And, you know, whether it's a crypto theft or front running, it needs to be fixed. It needs to be done better. You know what I mean? So Sienna Swap was our biggest bit of news. A conversation with the founder of the internet about Sienna Network is a great challenge for me in 10 days' time, and I have to be on my game. But you know, Michael, what you're doing here with the shows, I mean, I've you know, my pod, I suppose. This is a great show. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to tune in. I'm going to be watching the show, and I really appreciate the invitation to speak, you know, a little bit about what we're doing. But again, just reinforce, you know, I suppose its final words is that, you know, privacy is not God, too early in the morning. Privacy is not anonymity,
Nice.
and long term is better than short term. That's it, really, from my side.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monty, for coming on board. I see the light coming in, so good morning to you, sir. And we got Gemmy coming in. Thank you so much, Gemmy. We'd love to hear your lovely voice. Nathan, thank you so much. We're going to be tuning in on Monday at 11 a.m. Hong Kong time. We're going to set the stream on there. So guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you smash up those likes if you guys like the content here. Really enjoy talking to everyone here. So I hope you guys can smash the likes. Also check out the podcast that Monty is running, you know, having the experience looking at the tech space. I think that's a great angle today. And obviously check out Sienna Swap coming on soon. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys, and see you guys next time. Cheers. Bye guys.
Cool.
All right.